The great hall of the Coalition Council stretched wider than any building Hyan had ever seen on Earth. Crystal pillars reached toward a ceiling that showed the stars themselves. And representatives from 7 different alien kingdoms sat in their ornate chairs. Waiting, Hyan stood in the center, still wearing his battle uniform. The war was over. After 5 brutal years, the interdimensional threat had been defeated. The human fleet had delivered the final blow, and now the Council wanted to reward him. Commander Hyan of Earth, the Council speaker announced, his voice echoing through the chamber. Your species has proven invaluable to our coalition. You led the attack that saved our worlds. Name your reward, and it shall be yours. Hyan looked around the hall. Behind the council members stood 7 princesses, each representing one of the allied kingdoms. They were the finest warriors, leaders, and powerhouses the galaxy had to offer. We offer you a choice, the speaker continued. Select any princess as your companion, and you will gain alliance with her kingdom, access to their technology, and a position of honor in our coalition. The first princess stepped forward. Her skin glowed with soft blue light, and her eyes held the depth of ancient stars. I am Nari of the Luminari, she said. Her voice entered Hyan's mind directly, not through his ears. I command 17 battle fleets with my thoughts alone. I can read minds across star systems and coordinate armies without speaking a word. Choose me, and the power of telepathy will serve Earth. The second princess moved next. She was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, with skin like polished metal. I am Yura of the Titanforge, she declared. When she tapped her foot, the entire floor shook. I can crush a warship with my bare hands. My people build weapons that can shatter moons. Choose me, and Earth will have the strongest army in the galaxy. Then came Hannah of the Voidborn. She appeared human-like, but seemed to fade at the edges, as if she wasn't completely solid. I am immortal, she said quietly. I control dark matter and bend space itself. I have lived for 3,000 years and will live 3,000 more. Choose me, and your world will have access to technologies beyond your understanding. 4 more princesses presented themselves. Each one displayed incredible powers. One could control time in small bursts. Another could survive in the vacuum of space without protection. One princess could create life from nothing, and the last could destroy entire planets with energy blasts. Hyan listened to each one. His crew members, standing behind him, whispered excitedly about which princess he should choose. Lieutenant J leaned close and said, Sir, any of these choices would make Earth the most powerful human world in history. Then the last figure stepped forward, and the hall went quiet. She was small, barely reaching Hyan's shoulder. Her features were delicate, and she looked almost human except for her silver hair and golden eyes. Unlike the other princesses who stood proud and confident, this one kept her gaze down. I am Sora of the Star Whispers, she said softly. Her voice trembled. I have no strength, no combat abilities, and no political power. My species is the weakest in the coalition. I can only feel emotions and share memories through touch. That is all. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. One even laughed quietly. Princess Yura crossed her massive arms and said, Why is she even here? The Star Whispers contribute nothing to our military. Sora's face flushed with shame. She stepped back, clearly wanting to disappear. Hyan studied each princess one more time. Then he walked past Nari with her mind powers. He walked past Yura with her incredible strength. He walked past Hannah with her immortality. He stopped directly in front of Sora. I choose Princess Sora, he said clearly. The hall erupted in shocked voices. The council speaker stood up. Commander, are you certain? Perhaps you don't understand. Princess Sora has no abilities that would benefit Earth. She cannot fight. She cannot build. She cannot lead armies. Please reconsider. Lieutenant J grabbed Daehyun's arm. Sir, what are you doing? Any other choice would give us real power. Princess Nari's mental voice filled the room. The human has made a mistake. He doesn't understand our ways. Even Sora looked up at Daehyun with wide, confused eyes. Why? She whispered. I am useless. My own people are ashamed of me. I bring you nothing. Daehyun smiled, a calm and knowing smile that seemed out of place in the chaos of the hall. He looked around at all the powerful princesses, at the confused council members, at his own shocked crew. You'll all understand soon enough, he said. Why humans won this war? The council speaker tried one more time. Commander Daehyun, we must ask you to reconsider. This choice benefits Earth in no way. Princess Sora has no value to offer. That's where you're wrong, Daehyun replied. He turned to Sora and offered his hand. Princess, will you accept this choice? Sora hesitated, her golden eyes filled with doubt and confusion. But something in Daehyun's expression made her slowly reach out. When their hands touched, she gasped. For just a moment, she felt something from him through her empathic ability, certainty, purpose, and something else she couldn't identify. I accept, she said quietly. The hall fell into uncomfortable silence. Princess Yura shook her head in disgust. Princess Hana simply vanished, teleporting away. The other princesses left one by one, some looking angry, others looking confused. As the hall emptied, Lieutenant J approached Daehyun. Sir, I don't understand. Please explain this to me. Daehyun watched Sora, who stood alone near the pillars, looking lost and uncertain. You will, Jay. Everyone will. But first, we have work to do. What kind of work? Jay asked. The kind that actually wins wars, Daehyun said. Not the battles, the wars themselves. He walked towards Sora, leaving his confused crew behind. The choice had been made, and though no one understood it yet, Daehyun knew exactly what he was doing. The galaxy was about to learn something that humans had known for a very long time. Sometimes, the most powerful weapon doesn't look powerful at all. 3 days after the ceremony, Daehyun sat in his quarters aboard the human ship Horizon. Across from him sat Captain Tay, his second-in-command and oldest friend. Tay had been asking questions since the moment they left the council hall. You need to explain this to me, Tay said firmly. The crew is confused. Earth Command is confused. Hell, I'm confused. We could have had Princess Nari's telepathic fleets or Princess Yura's weapons technology. Instead, we have an alien who can feel emotions. How does that help humanity? Daehyun poured tea, a habit he'd kept from his childhood on Earth. The smell reminded him of home, of simpler times. Do you remember why we won the war, Tay? We had better tactics, better coordination. No, Daehyun interrupted. We had worse ships, weaker weapons, and smaller numbers than almost every other species. So why did we win? Tay frowned, thinking. Our strategies were unpredictable? Close. Daehyun sipped his tea. We won because we understood our enemies. Not just their tactics or their weapons, we understood why they fought, what they feared, what they wanted. Every other species in this coalition fought with pure power. We fought with understanding. He stood and walked to the window, looking out at the stars. Let me tell you a story about my grandmother, Myra. Before I joined the military, I lived with her in a small town on Earth. She was a teacher, very wise. One day, I got into a fight with another boy. I was 12, and I thought winning meant hitting harder. What happened? Tay asked. I lost badly. I came home with a black eye, and I was angry. I told my grandmother I needed to get stronger, to learn to fight better. You know what she said? Daehyun turned back to face Tay. She said, The strongest weapon isn't in your hand, it's in your heart. If you had understood why that boy was angry, you could have avoided the fight entirely. Understanding is more powerful than any punch. Tay listened, starting to see where this was going. When humanity joined the coalition, Daehyun continued, everyone expected us to fail. We were the newest species, the weakest. Our ships were basic. Our weapons were primitive. But we had something the others didn't. We knew how to really see people. Not as enemies or allies or tools, but as people. He pulled up a display showing the war's history. In the third year of the war, we were losing badly. The interdimensional forces were crushing us. Every species was fighting separately, keeping secrets from each other, hoarding their best technology. The coalition was barely holding together. I remember, Tay said. That was when you proposed the Unity Protocol. Yes. And do you remember how I convinced 12 different alien species to finally share their intelligence and work together? Daehyun asked. I didn't threaten them. I didn't bribe them. I sent small human teams to live with each species, to learn their cultures, their fears, their hopes. Then I went to each leader and showed them I truly understood what they were fighting for. Tay nodded slowly. The Titanforge wanted to protect their forging traditions. The Voidborn wanted to ensure their long memories survived. The Luminari wanted their children to have peaceful minds. Exactly. Once they knew we understood, they trusted us. And once they trusted us, they shared everything. That's how we won, not with superior firepower, but with trust built on understanding. Daehyun sat back down. Now, look at the coalition today. The war is over, but nothing has changed. Every kingdom still keeps secrets. Every species still thinks in terms of power and dominance. They're already preparing for the next conflict. So, where does Princess Sora fit into this? Tay asked. Daehyun smiled. Sora is what we needed most and never had a bridge. Think about her abilities, Tay. Really think about them. She can feel emotions from anyone she touches. She can share complete memories. She can detect lies instantly just by feeling the emotional conflict. She can make people truly understand each other. But she's just one person, Tay protested. How can one empath change an entire galactic civilization? Every movement starts with one person, Daehyun said. Every other princess is a weapon. A tool for war, for power, for domination. That's all the coalition understands. But Sora? She's something they've never valued before, a healer. Not of bodies, but of the gaps between people. Tay was quiet for a moment. You're planning something. I am, Daehyun admitted. The coalition is fracturing, Tay. Within a year, maybe two, they'll be at each other's throats. All these powerful kingdoms, all these warrior princesses, they'll start fighting over territory, resources, influence. And when that happens, all the power in the galaxy won't stop it. But empathy might? Understanding might, Daehyun corrected. Sora has spent her whole life being told she's useless because she can't fight. Her own people are ashamed of her. But I've seen her ability in action. During the selection ceremony, when our hands touched, she felt my certainty. That's why she accepted. In 1 second of contact, she understood more about me than most people learn in years of conversation. A chime sounded at the door. Come in, Daehyun called. Princess Sora entered hesitantly, still looking uncertain and out of place. She wore simple clothes instead of royal garments, and her silver hair was tied back plainly. I'm sorry to interrupt, she said quietly. Captain Tay, Commander Daehyun asked me to begin training today. I wasn't sure where to go. Tay stood, looking at Sora with new eyes. Training? What kind of training? Daehyun smiled. I'm going to teach Princess Sora what my grandmother taught me, that her supposed weakness is actually the most powerful ability in this galaxy. And she's going to teach me how to use empathy on a scale humans have never attempted before. Sora looked surprised. You want to learn from me? I do, Daehyun said. Because you have a gift, princess. Not a curse. The galaxy just forgot how to value it. For the first time since the ceremony, Sora smiled. It was small and uncertain, but it was real. Tay watched them both and finally nodded. I think I'm starting to understand, sir. Good, Daehyun said. Now spread the word to the crew. Tell them exactly why I chose Princess Sora. Tell them that humans are about to teach the galaxy something new. What's that? Tay asked. That the strongest shields aren't built from weapons, Daehyun replied. They're built from understanding. And we're going to prove it. 3 months passed quickly. Sora had been living aboard the Horizon, learning and training with the human crew. She had grown more confident, though she still found it strange that these humans valued her abilities so highly. One morning, an urgent message arrived from Earth Command. Daehyun read it in his ready room, his expression growing darker with each line. Captain Tay stood nearby, waiting. It's happening sooner than I thought, Daehyun said finally. The Titanforge Kingdom and the Voidborn Empire are preparing for war. War? But the Coalition Treaty means nothing without trust, Daehyun finished. They're fighting over the resource zones in the Kolar sector. Both sides claim the treaty gave those zones to them. Neither side trusts the other enough to negotiate. Sora entered the room, carrying data pads. She had taken on the role of cultural liaison, studying each species' history and customs. But when she saw Daehyun's face, she stopped. Her empathic abilities didn't require touch to sense strong emotions, and his worry was like a physical pressure in the room. What's wrong? She asked. Daehyun explained the situation. Princess Yura's people, the Titanforge, need the rare metals in Kolar to build their forges. Princess Hana's people, the Voidborn, need the dark matter wells there for their technology. Both sides are moving battle fleets into position. Can't the council mediate? Sora asked. Tay shook his head. The council has no real power. Each kingdom is independent. They only united to fight the interdimensional threat. Now that it's gone, they're back to old patterns, Daehyun said. Competition, suspicion, the belief that whoever has the most power wins. He looked at Sora. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The coalition is collapsing because nobody trusts anyone else. Later that day, Ambassador Quan arrived from Earth. She was a skilled diplomat who had represented humanity in hundreds of negotiations. She met with Daehyun's team in the conference room. The situation is worse than we thought, Quan explained. It's not just the Titanforge and Voidborn. 4 other kingdoms are choosing sides. The Luminaries support the Voidborn. The Starforge support the Titanforge. If this turns into actual combat, it will split the entire coalition apart. What about Princess Nari? Tay asked. Can't she use her telepathy to help them communicate? She tried, Quan said. They refused. The Titanforge don't trust telepaths, and the Voidborn believe mind readers are invasive. Both sides think the other is planning betrayal, so they won't allow any mental contact. Daehyun sat quietly, thinking. Then he looked at Sora. What if we tried a different approach? What do you mean? Quan asked. Not telepathy. Not military force. Not political pressure. Daehyun turned to Sora. Empathy. Real understanding. Princess, could your abilities work on a large scale? Could you help both sides feel what the other side is experiencing? Sora looked uncertain. I've never tried anything that big. Usually, I can only affect one person at a time through direct touch. Maybe a small group if they're all holding hands. But it's possible? Daehyun pressed. Maybe, if the conditions were right. If both sides were willing. Sora paused. But why would they agree? They think empathy is weak. They want to prove their strength. Ambassador Quan leaned forward. What exactly are you proposing, Commander? I propose we let Princess Sora mediate the dispute, Daehyun said. Bring representatives from both sides together. Let Sora share their emotional experiences with each other. Make them truly feel, what this conflict means to both sides. The room went silent. Finally, Tay spoke. Sir, with respect, they'll never agree to that. Warriors don't solve problems by sharing feelings. Then they'll go to war, Daehyun said simply. And thousands will die. Maybe millions. Is that better? Quan studied Sora carefully. Princess, do you think you could do this? If we could arrange the meeting? Sora looked down at her hands. All her life, she had been told her abilities were useless. But these humans believed in her. They saw value where her own people saw only weakness. I can try, she said quietly. But I'll need both sides to be open to it. Even a little. If they're completely closed off emotionally, my abilities won't work. Leave the diplomacy to me, Quan said. I'll arrange the meeting. 2 weeks later, the meeting took place on a neutral station between Titanforge and Voidborn Space. Princess Yura arrived with her generals, massive warriors in heavy armor. Princess Hana came with her advisors, ethereal beings who seemed to float rather than walk. The human delegation was small. Ambassador Quan, Commander Daehyun, Captain Tay, and Princess Sora. When Yura saw Sora, she laughed. The humans brought their pet empath? This is your solution? A weak creature who can do nothing but feel. Hannah's voice was like cold wind. We agreed to this meeting out of respect for human military achievement. But we will not waste time on emotional manipulation. Quan stood calmly. Princess Yura, Princess Hana, I ask you for 1 hour. Just 1 hour. Let Princess Sora show you what your people are feeling about this conflict. If, after that hour, you still want war, we will not interfere. What's the point? Yura demanded. My people are ready to fight. They're not afraid. I know, Sora said quietly, speaking for the first time. But being ready to fight doesn't mean they want to. Let me show you. Something in her voice made both princesses pause. Hannah tilted her head. You're different from the last time I saw you. More confident. I learned something, Sora said. I learned that understanding doesn't make you weak. It makes you wise. Yura crossed her massive arms. Fine, 1 hour. But this won't change anything. They sat in a circle, representatives from both sides. Sora moved to the center. She closed her eyes and reached out with her empathic abilities, touching the minds and hearts of everyone present. Then she began to share. Yura suddenly felt what a void-born mother felt. Watching resources dwindle, afraid her children wouldn't have enough. Hana felt what a Titanforge blacksmith felt, desperate to keep ancient traditions alive. Terrified his craft would die. Both princesses gasped as wave after wave of emotion flowed through them, not their own feelings, but the genuine experiences of ordinary people from both sides. Fear, hope, love for their families, worry about the future. Tears rolled down Yura's metal cheeks, something that should have been impossible. Hannah, who never showed emotion, wrapped her arms around herself. For the first time in coalition history, former enemies weren't just thinking about each other. They were feeling each other's truth. When the hour ended, silence filled the room. Then Yura spoke, her voice rough. I didn't know. I didn't understand what they were going through. Hannah nodded slowly. Neither did I. We only saw threats. We didn't see people. Sora opened her eyes, exhausted but hopeful. Now you do. Now you can find a real solution. Ambassador Quan stepped forward. Shall we negotiate? For the next 6 hours, they talked. Really talked. And by the end, they had a treaty that gave both sides what they truly needed. As everyone prepared to leave, Princess Nari appeared, having teleported to the station. She looked at Sora with new respect. What you did today, I couldn't have done that with all my telepathic power. You made them understand each other. But then, Nari's expression turned serious. Be careful, Princess Sora. You've made powerful enemies today. Not everyone wants peace. What do you mean? Daehyun asked. There are those in the coalition who profit from conflict, Nari said. War means weapons contracts, political power, territory expansion. You just stopped a war. Some people won't forgive that. She vanished as quickly as she appeared, leaving her warning hanging in the air. Sora looked at Daehyun. Do you think she's right? Yes, he said honestly. But we knew this wouldn't be easy. Change never is. What they didn't know was that in the shadows, plans were already being made to stop them. The attack came without warning. Sora was walking through the garden section of the horizon, a peaceful area where the crew grew earth plants to remind them of home. She often came here to think, to practice controlling her empathic range, so she wouldn't be overwhelmed by everyone's emotions all the time. The first shot missed her by centimeters, burning a hole through a flowering tree. Sora screamed and dove behind a planter. Security to the gardens, now. Captain Tay's voice shouted through the ship's communication system. 3 figures in dark armor appeared, carrying energy weapons. They weren't human. Their movements were too fast, too precise. Military training from one of the coalition species. Sora tried to run, but one of them fired again. The blast hit her shoulder, spinning her around. Pain exploded through her body as she fell. Then Pilot Rena appeared from nowhere, firing her sidearm. Engineer Han came from another direction, throwing something that created a bright flash of light. The attackers scattered, seeking cover. Daehyun arrived with a full security team within seconds. A firefight erupted in the gardens, energy blasts destroying carefully tended plants and shattering the peaceful atmosphere. Get the princess to medical, Daehyun ordered, providing covering fire. Tay and Rena lifted Sora carefully and ran, while the security team drove the attackers back. But the assassins fought with desperate determination, like they had nothing to lose. One attacker was captured alive. The other 2 activated devices on their armor and simply vanished, teleporting away. In the medical bay, the ship's doctor worked on Sora's shoulder. The burn was serious, but not fatal. Daehyun stood nearby, his face dark with anger. Who were they? Tay asked, entering with the prisoner secured in energy restraints. Luminary Special Forces, Daehyun said quietly. Elite soldiers. The kind that don't fail missions. Princess Nari's people? Rena looked shocked. But she warned us about enemies. Doesn't mean she controls everyone in her kingdom, Daehyun said. He turned to the prisoner. Who sent you? The soldier said nothing, staring ahead with blank eyes. Sora sat up, wincing. Let me try. You're injured, the doctor protested. I know, but I need to understand. Sora walked slowly to the prisoner. Please, I just want to know why. I won't hurt you. She reached out and touched the soldier's hand. The effect was immediate. The soldier gasped as Sora's empathic ability flooded through the barriers he'd built in his mind. She saw his memories, felt his emotions, understood his purpose. General Soong, Sora whispered. A Luminary war hero. He believes peace makes the coalition weak. He thinks constant conflict keeps species strong and competitive. He's organizing others who think the same way. She pulled her hand back, looking sad. He doesn't hate me personally. He just sees me as a threat to everything he believes in. If empathy spreads, if understanding becomes valued, Then warriors like him become less important. The prisoner's eyes filled with tears. For just a moment, through Sora's touch, he had felt what she felt: genuine care for all people, even those trying to kill her. It broke something inside him. "I'm sorry," the soldier whispered. "I'm so sorry." Over the next few days, as Sora recovered, she spent time alone with Deihayan. She needed to understand why he truly chose her, why he believed so strongly in her abilities. "May I?" she asked, holding out her hand. Deihayan understood. She wanted to use her ability on him, to see his complete memories about his choice. He had never refused her anything. "Of course," he said. Taking her hand, Sora closed her eyes and saw everything. She saw Deihayan as a child with his grandmother Mira, learning about empathy and understanding. She felt his love for his family, a wife named Yoon, a daughter named Bora, and a son named Q. She felt his happiness in those early years. Then the memories turned dark dots. She experienced the moment when Allied coalition ships, confused by a misunderstanding about territorial boundaries, opened fire on human civilian vessels. She felt Deihayan's horror as he learned his family's transport was destroyed. She felt him screaming his wife's name, his children's names, knowing they were gone. The misunderstanding had been simple, a translation error combined with paranoid trigger reflexes. Two species, who should have been allies, had killed each other because they didn't truly understand each other's protocols or intentions. Sora pulled back, tears streaming down her face. "Your family. I'm so sorry. I didn't know." Deihayan's eyes were wet too. "That's why I chose you, Sora. Not as a reward. As a necessity. I lost everything I loved because species with incredible power couldn't find a way to understand each other. All the weapons, all the technology, all the strength in the galaxy, none of it could prevent that tragedy." "You blame yourself," Sora said softly, feeling the guilt that still lived in his heart. "I was a commander. I should have found a way to make the coalition members understand each other better. If we'd had someone like you then, someone who could make them feel what others felt, maybe," he trailed off. "So you chose me to prevent the next misunderstanding," Sora said. "The next unnecessary death." "I chose you because humanity learned something painful," Deihayan said. "Power wins battles, but understanding wins wars. Real, lasting peace. We humans won our war not because we were strongest, but because we learned to bridge gaps between different species. And you, Princess Sora, are the best bridge I've ever encountered." A chime interrupted them. Captain Tay's urgent voice came through. "Commander, you need to see this. Princess Nari, Princess Yura, and Princess Hana are here. They're requesting a meeting." Deihayan and Sora went to the conference room. The three powerful princesses stood waiting, and their expressions were serious. "We investigated the assassination attempt," Nari said. "The conspiracy goes deeper than we thought. General Sung has support from military leaders across multiple kingdoms. They're planning to start conflicts to undermine peace efforts." Yura's massive fist slammed the table. "We can crush them. Give us their locations, and we'll end this threat." "With force?" Deihayan asked. "Kill anyone who disagrees with peace?" "That's not peace. That's just different tyranny. Then what do you suggest?" Hana asked, her ethereal form flickering with frustration. "They tried to murder Princess Sora. They'll try again." Sora stood up, her shoulder still bandaged. "Let me face General Sung directly." Everyone stared at her. "You can't be serious," Yura said. "He'll kill you." "Maybe," Sora admitted. "But maybe I can show him what I showed the soldier who attacked me. Maybe I can make him feel all the memories of everyone affected by war from every species." "That's too dangerous," Deihayan said immediately. "Is it more dangerous than another war?" Sora asked. You chose me because you believed understanding could change the galaxy. Let me prove you were right." Daehan looked into her eyes. She was no longer the uncertain princess who had stood ashamed before the council. She had become something new, someone who believed in her own power. "If we do this," Nari said slowly, "it has to be in the council chamber, public, so everyone can see what happens." Hannah nodded. "And we'll be there. If he tries to harm you, we'll stop him." Yora grinned, cracking her metal knuckles. "I've been wanting to punch General Sung for years anyway." Sora smiled despite her fear. "Then let's show the galaxy what true strength looks like." Daehan put his hand on her shoulder, the uninjured one. "Are you sure?" "You taught me that my abilities aren't weaknesses," Sora said. "Now let me prove it. Let me show them all what you saw in me from the beginning." The message went out across the coalition. In 3 days, Princess Sora would face General Sung before the full council. The galaxy would witness something it had never seen before, a test of whether understanding could triumph over the desire for conflict. The real reason Daehan had chosen her was about to be revealed to everyone. The council chamber was filled to capacity. Representatives from every coalition kingdom attended, along with countless observers watching through holographic feeds. The atmosphere crackled with tension and anticipation. General Sung stood at one end of the chamber, tall and imposing in his military uniform decorated with medals from countless victories. His blue glowing skin marked him as Luminari, but unlike Princess Nari, his telepathic abilities were used only for warfare and tactics. Princess Sora stood at the other end, small and seemingly fragile in simple white robes. Her shoulders still ached from the assassination attempt, but she stood straight and calm, between them. The council speaker explained the situation. "General Sung, you stand accused of conspiracy and attempted murder. However, Princess Sora has requested this alternative to trial. She asks only that you accept her empathic sharing. Will you agree?" Sung laughed, the sound harsh and mocking. "The weak princess wants to make me feel emotions? Let her try. Feelings don't change facts. The coalition needs strength, not sensitivity. I'll prove her abilities are useless. Then you accept?" The speaker asked. "I accept," Sung declared. Let everyone watch as empathy fails against true conviction. Sora walked to the center of the chamber. Her heart pounded, but she remembered everything Daehan had taught her. She remembered his grandmother's wisdom. The strongest weapon is in your heart. "General Sung," she said quietly, "I'm not here to change your mind by force. I'm here to share truth with you. The truth of what war really means to everyone it touches." "War is glorious," Sung replied. "It makes us strong, keeps us sharp, gives life meaning and purpose. Then feel that glory through every perspective," Sora said. She reached out and took his hand. The effect was immediate and overwhelming. General Sung expected to feel simple emotions, fear, sadness, maybe anger. Instead, he experienced complete, lived memories from hundreds of individuals across every species. He felt what a human mother named Yoon felt in her last moments. Trapped on a transport ship that was being fired upon by confused allies. She wasn't thinking about glory or strength. She was thinking about her children, hoping they would survive even as she knew she wouldn't. He felt what a Titan-forged child felt, watching their planet burn during an invasion. The child didn't understand concepts like territorial rights or strategic resources. They only understood that their home was gone and their family was scattered. He felt what a Voidborn elder felt, seeing 3,000 years of accumulated wisdom and culture destroyed in a single bombing run. Not the glory of battle, but the profound grief of watching irreplaceable knowledge turn to dust. Memory after memory flooded through him. A Luminari soldier dying alone, calling for their mother. A Star Whisper family separated by conflict zones, spending years trying to find each other. A human engineer watching their life's work, a medical station destroyed as collateral damage. He felt Dae Hyan's agony as he learned his wife and children were dead from a preventable misunderstanding. He felt the guilt, the rage, the desperate wish to go back and make different choices. Through it all, Sora shared one consistent truth. These weren't just casualties or statistics. Every single one was a person with hopes, dreams, families, and futures that were erased. Tears poured down General Sung's face. His knees buckled, and he fell to the floor. The mighty warrior, decorated hero of countless battles, wept like a child. "I didn't know," he gasped. "I never let myself know. I only saw tactics and strategy. I never truly felt what it all meant." Sora knelt beside him, her hand still in his. "You didn't want to know. Because if you felt this, you couldn't keep believing war was glorious. But now you do know. Now you understand." The chamber was silent, except for Sung sobbing. Then other military leaders who had been part of his conspiracy stood up, one by one. They came forward and asked Sora to share the memories with them too. She did. Each one fell to their knees. Each one understood. Finally, Sora stood in the center of the chamber and spoke to everyone watching. "This is why Commander Dae Hyan chose me," she said, her voice carrying through the hall. "Not because I'm powerful like Princess Nari, or strong like Princess Yura, or immortal like Princess Hana. He chose me because the galaxy was missing something crucial." She looked at Dae Hyan, who stood with his crew. Humans discovered something the rest of the coalition forgot. They learned that the greatest conflicts in the universe don't come from lack of power. They come from lack of understanding, from the inability to truly see and feel what others experience. Princess Nari stepped forward. "I can read thoughts," she said to the assembled crowd. "But thoughts can be hidden, shielded, disguised. Princess Sora makes you feel truth. Real truth. And truth can't be hidden when you experience it directly." Princess Yura nodded. "I thought strength meant crushing your enemies. But Princess Sora showed me that real strength is having the courage to understand them." Princess Hana spoke last. "I have lived 3,000 years. I thought I had seen everything. But I never experienced what Princess Sora can share: complete, honest empathy. The kind that breaks down every wall." The council speakers stepped forward. "The council must deliberate on what we have witnessed today." But Dae Hyan spoke up. "There's nothing to deliberate. The astounding reason I chose Princess Sora is now clear to everyone. Humanity didn't save the galaxy with weapons. We reminded you that the strongest shields are built from understanding, not force. We showed you that true power isn't about dominating others. It's about connecting with them." He walked to Sora's side. "Princess Sora isn't the weakest among you. She never was. She has the rarest and most valuable ability in this entire coalition. The power to make people truly understand each other. And that power will prevent more wars than any army ever could." Ambassador Quan stepped forward. "Earth proposes the creation of a new position in the coalition: truth bearers. Individuals with empathic abilities like Princess Sora, placed in key positions to facilitate understanding between species. Not to rule, not to control, but to bridge gaps that weapons and diplomacy cannot." The vote was unanimous. Within hours, the coalition began restructuring. Empaths from every species who had been dismissed as useless were suddenly sought after and valued. Schools began teaching empathy alongside tactics. Diplomacy began to emphasize understanding over power plays. General Sung himself became an unexpected advocate, dedicating the rest of his life to teaching military leaders about the true cost of war. 5 years later, Dae Hyan retired from military service. He and Sora established the first Academy of Understanding, where young people from every coalition species learned to value empathy, emotional intelligence, And cross-cultural connection. Princess Nari visited the academy one afternoon. Watching students from different kingdoms working together, sharing experiences, learning to truly see each other. I thought you were a fool, she admitted to Daehyun as they stood in the garden. That day in the council chamber, when you chose Sora, I was certain you'd made the biggest mistake of your life. And now? Daehyun asked. Now I see you were the only one who understood what victory really meant, Nari said. We won the war, but we were about to lose the peace. You prevented that. In the distance, Sora was teaching a class of young cadets from 7 different species. They sat in a circle, holding hands as she helped them experience each other's perspectives and feelings. Daehyun smiled. Humans didn't do anything special. We just remembered something simple that got lost in all the power and technology. We remembered that we're all people first. Understanding that really feeling, it changes everything. It's changing the galaxy, Nari agreed. 3 major conflicts have been prevented this year alone, all through empathic mediation. Trade agreements are being honored because negotiators actually understand each other's needs now. Even art and culture are spreading between species that never communicated before. A young Titanforge student laughed at something a Voidborn classmate said. They were supposed to be ancient enemies, but here they were. Friends, you know what the best part is? Daehyun said. Sora finally believes in herself. She spent so long thinking she was worthless because she couldn't fight. Now she knows her true worth. That evening, as the academy settled into quiet, Sora found Daehyun on the observation deck, looking at the stars. Thank you, she said softly. For what? For seeing value where everyone else saw weakness. For choosing me when you could have had any power in the galaxy. She paused. Why did you really choose me, Daehyun? What was the real, deepest reason? He was quiet for a moment. Because you reminded me of my daughter, Bora. She was gentle and sensitive. She felt everything deeply. My son Q was strong and brave. But Bora, she understood people. She made everyone around her better just by caring. His voice grew soft. When she died, I promised myself that I would never again let the galaxy dismiss gentleness as weakness. I would prove that understanding is strength. You gave me that chance. Sora took his hand. Through her empathic touch, she shared a feeling with him, not a memory, but a sensation. She showed him that his family would be proud, that their legacy lived on in every student who learned to value empathy, that his pain had transformed into purpose. They're still with you, she whispered. In every bridge we build, in every war we prevent.